Hello everybody, today we will talk about Microsoft SQL Server triggers. Trigger is an object can be created in a table or a view or wait a minute. Let us first see in reality what is a trigger. The most common example of a trigger in reality is the trigger in a gun. When this trigger is pulled, a bullet is fired. Of course, if we still have bullet in the magazine. In SQL Server, triggers work with the same concept. Something triggers the trigger, and therefore the trigger fires not a bullet, it fires a process. What is that something in SQL Server that triggers the trigger? There are three types of SQL Server triggers. One works with the DML, data manipulation language, which automatically fire a process when data changes occur, insert or delete or update. The second type is working with DDL, data definition language, and automatically fires when we change an object in the database, such as a table or stored procedure or view or whatever. The third type of trigger is Logon Trigger, which fires something when a user logs into SQL Server. The scope of DML triggers is a table or a view. That means they only created under a table or a view. Somebody asks me, is there an updatable view? Yes, there is. We can create an updatable view to insert or delete or update data only in one condition. The tables in this view must be schema bounded, means they have a relationship between them with foreign key and primary key, as we explained before. The scope of the DDL trigger is a database. They are created under a database trigger. So when a user change an object, this trigger will fire. For example, prevent some certain user not to change any objects in the database. The scope of the login trigger is created under the server itself. When a user logs in, we can run a process to audit and control the server session, such as tracking the login activity for this user and apply some restriction if any. The most common used triggers are the DML, which are used to do a process when the data changes. And there are some scenarios in the database I cannot imagine doing them without a trigger. A very common example that all of us experience with a trigger: whenever we go to an ATM or make a transaction online or in a shop, you immediately receive a text message on your phone telling us what happened with this transaction. This is definitely a trigger. Another example, whenever we register in a social network, we immediately receive an email giving us a link to complete the registration. This is definitely a trigger. SQL Server is configured to send an email, but it is ready to be configured with an API to send an SMS. SQL Server doesn't send SMS by default. Triggers are really serious business, and if we know how to handle them and work with them in the database, it will make our life very, very easy. Triggers can be used to enforce the integrity and consistency in the database. They will never allow any illogical or unauthorized transaction to occur in the data. Microsoft SQL Server Engine gives a high priority for executing the triggers. Also, a heavy trigger can slow down a bit the performance of the related tables, but on the other hand, we are sure the data integrity is maintained all the time. With the following videos, we will know how to create these types of triggers and make the development very easy and always under control. That's it for today. Please, if you like this video, subscribe and share it. It might be useful for somebody else. See you next time. Hosam.
انت اللي لمعت النجوم بتبان في عينيك، انت اللي كل ما فيك بيقويك بيعليك، انت اللي عمره ما لحظة خاف، انت اكتشاف ومين يقدر عليك، انت احلى حاجة فيك. قولها